I'm having a fangirl moment to see Nick, who's leading search and information at Google. What's your favorite announcement?
Now, Google search now is AI search at its core.
How you see search changing?
It fires off tens, maybe even hundreds of queries. Maybe there's a YouTube video there, maybe there's a Reddit forum, or there's a news article.
What was the thought process behind building that product?
No one will ever have created that visualization before.
How do you think these personalized applications are going to look like in the future?
Really, anyone can become a builder. It's a meal planner for the week, workout planner.
We are going in with this multimodal search
Take a photo of the menu. Which of these things might I enjoy the most?
3 years from now. What does the search look like?
At Multimodal, it will be personalized and it will be erotic.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my podcast. Today I'm really excited because I'm having a fangirl moment to see Nick, who's leading search and information at Google. He's a senior vice president for knowledge and information, and he's managing all the amazing tools at Google, which is consumer products, including maps and search and advertisements and so many more. So I am super excited to talk to you all about the exciting announcements today. And I have a lot of questions for you. But my first question has to be, what's your favorite announcement from today?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Great to meet you. It's hard to pick one thing. I think there's a lot of really interesting announcements that we made today. I think probably if I were to pick maybe a few that I can talk about, I think the first I would start with is our brand new search box. And so the search box really is iconic, right? We've had the same search box really for 25 years. And what we saw with it is, now that people are doing AI queries, they're doing longer queries, more complex queries. We really thought about, okay, what does that mean for the search box itself? And how do we reinvent that to help people put in the question that's in their head and be able to, put that into search as easily as possible. And I think maybe why I would start there is I think it really symbolizes the moment that we're in with search, where we've shifted from some sort of AI features in search to really search now. Google search now is AI search at its core through and through. So maybe that's where I would start. Another personal favorite of mine is information agents. And information agents enable you to say, put in any task that you have, any informational task you have, and have search basically do the searching for you behind the scenes and alert you the moment that something has changed, right? And so I have one that's set up that's alert me on any news about Google search. When if a new podcast is said about Google search or someone on social posts something, what are they saying? And so that's a really useful way for me to, keep up to date. Maybe the last thing I'll say, if I can, is I really think the integration of anti-gravity into search is a big deal, both for what it is now as well as for what it enables over time, as really anyone can become a builder.
I'm definitely going to pick your brain a lot more on the anti-gravity stuff. But I want to get your thoughts on how you see search changing, right? In the last few years, obviously, we have seen a surge of people searching with very precise information. So the 5 keyword search has gone to like 20 keyword search.
Yes.
And that was the moment when Google probably realized that, hey, like we need to help people discover information this new way.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's safe to say that we are moving away from search to intelligent search to some extent.
This is exactly right.
And what would you say is like the shift in terms of how people are getting this information? Because earlier, if I have to look for something, I'm searching with simple keywords. It pops up a bunch of URLs and I'm selecting and picking all the blogs and reading through them and figuring out what makes sense for me. But now it's one click away where I get the information in the most precise structure, format, and the depth that I asked for. So what does that shift look like to you in terms of when you're planning to build this product?
Yeah. Well, I think there's two interesting things there that you touched on. The first is the queries are getting longer. And that's not just about sort of length. What that really means is, if you think about the questions that you have in your head, they're actually quite detailed, right? If your car's broken down, it's, I have a Honda Accord and it's making this noise and and the car's, it's making a grinding noise and the wheels and, you have all of these details, not just car doesn't work, right? And so the old version of search, you had to sort of ask questions in a way that maybe you think a search engine can understand, but it didn't have any of the richness, any of the details of the question that's actually in your head. And so that's what gets to the brand new search box, is it enables people to put in the queries with all that detail. The second major piece of it is the reasoning capability of the Gemini models. And what's so powerful about the reasoning capabilities is that it's able to stitch together information from multiple different places. It's able to, one of the really cool things that AI mode does is it does what we call a query fan out. So you put in a query, and then it fires off tens, maybe even hundreds of queries to figure it out. So first of all, it comes up with a plan. Again, sort of a reason through what is the right plan to do. Fires off all these queries, pulls back, and then says, okay, here's the information that's actually relevant to that query, and brings it all together. The last thing I'll say is, and this is a really core part of how we approach search and how our approach is different from maybe others across the industry, is that the links to the web are still a really, really core part of the experience. And so it's not, our goal is not, hey, let's just provide the entire response and the user doesn't have to go off and click anywhere else or whatever. We really think that users do want to go deeper on the web and to explore explore personal experiences that people had. Maybe there's a YouTube video they want to watch, or maybe there's a Reddit forum, or there's a news article, whatever it might be, to go deeper. That's a core part of how we pull it all together. But it's all one cohesive experience that is laid out cleanly, laid out simply, and really brings all that together for the user.
I absolutely loved this part of visual components to search, which they showcase today. I feel I'm a very visual learner. I just get
Many
very
people are.
bored with blocks of text,
Yeah.
And I absolutely love the fact that every single time I'm putting out a query, it decides what sort of visualization is most suited for that, whether it's timeline, whether do I give them like a map view, should we give them like a video view? What was the thought process behind building that product out?
Well, one of the first insights with Google search ever was that people are visual.
Yeah.
And so one of the first sort of non sort of blue links version of search was image search. And we realized that, if someone has, for many people's questions, a visual response is more helpful than a text response. So that's really shaped how we've thought about search for years and years. Um, what we're doing now, one of the great uh, um, things that gets unlocked by integrating anti-gravity into search is that there's two things that can happen. One is the model can the model can help reason about what's the right format of information to come back. So is it a is it a stock chart? Is it an image? Whatever it might be. But what even goes beyond that is the ability of anti-gravity to actually code up a visualization. And so we give an example on the IO stage of, if you're learning about black holes, you can get a simulation of how black holes work. You can get a simulation of how a binary pair of black holes orbit each other, etc. And what's so interesting is, at the scale of search, no individual query is alike. And so why do you need coding for that? Well, you need coding for that because no one will ever have created that visualization before. Every question is unique. And so what search can now do is it can code these up um, on the fly for each unique query that comes in. And so you can get these really high quality, awesome, amazing visualizations for any query because we can code them up on the fly.
As you say this, and as we saw one of the other demos that Robbie was also showing, it just feels we are moving away from, hey, let me figure out what's the right app for me in the market, to let me just build out this app, because it seems extremely simple for people to go in. And that really is reducing the barrier to entry for people to think of what they want. And rather than settling for an app which serves 70% on their needs, they can quickly spin up something which caters to their needs in the format that they want. So, what do you think? Like, how do you think this personalized applications are going to look like in the future?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting notion, sort of personalized applications. I tend to, I believe that it will still be the case that developers create applications for users, and that will continue to be um, that will continue to thrive. I think a lot of what developers bring is the insight and the foresight about what types of applications users will want to use, etc. But I do think there's an interesting uh, direction as well, which is that if I have a sense of how I want a piece of software to work, with with how agentic coding is evolving, really anyone can create that, and so they can create what makes sense for them individually. So and so one of the things we're excited about is bringing that directly into search, because this has the scale. Search as a product has scale of many users around the world. And so if we can bring that capability in, so you don't have to think about coding, you don't have to think about, you know, writing up a PRD for how this would work, but you can just type in a search query. This is what I'm looking for. Um, uh, you can code that up really on the fly, right there. I think this will be most useful for things where the intent is very personal. And so, if it's a meal planner for the week, I think about food differently, probably from how you think about food. Different, that's a very unique and a very personal thing. Or a workout planner, these types of things. So I think these ones that are kind of more personal, or each person's own family, or that kind of environment is probably where that starts, and where that goes. I think we'll see.
That's amazing. There's something else that I had noted down which I wanted to talk to you about. Before any of the Gen AI or like the AI wave really hit the tech industry hard, Google always had image search. I remember going to images and then like just kicking a picture of tree in my backyard and be like, what tree is this? But I'm sure like the scale or like the capability of a model detecting what it was has completely changed. And now it's not just image search. Now we're adding like voice to it. There's like location aware search. There's multimodal and multimedia which it's supporting. What would you say is the trajectory that we are going in with this multimodal search? Plus, what do you think is something that's missing piece of the block right now?
I think for sure, multimodal search is taking off, right? And it's where we see we see all of search growing really, really well. We see multimodal search growing, particularly well. A lot of that is image based. A lot of that is voice based. Um, what we see also increasingly is people will upload a file. This is one of the things you can do with our new search box. Is you can upload a file. You can have search act on a Chrome tab that you have, and so you can say use this Chrome tab as input to my search. And so be able to bring in all of these different inputs just makes it more helpful, because you can ask the question in the way that makes sense for you. Our big idea, our big push is that should be able to ask anything. That's the big push, and the big part of that is asking in the way that's convenient for you, that makes sense for you. We see about 1 in 6 of AI mode queries are now multimodal, in one form or another. So that's a large percentage. Some of my most magic moments are that I could be in a restaurant, and I take a photo of the menu, and I'm like, I don't know what these things are. Explain this to me, or even kind of which of these things might I enjoy the most, and it's able to just sort of act on that and process that, and give me really helpful responses.
I want to double tap on the personalization part because something that you just mentioned, right? You can ask the search mode that which of these do you think I like the most? And there's just so much history and context about you already available in the Google ecosystem, whether it's through Gmail, whether it's through Docs, whether it's through other parts of the workspace, whether it's through maps on where you're traveling. I feel that ecosystem is such a huge power to how AI can really personalize for me. Because right now, even though I use a lot of tools, I feel there's a friction and there's some level of disjointness that I go into an app and I'm like, it quite doesn't have that context. So it brings me back to the context engineering part and personalization part on how Google is able to do it. And what more do you think can really come in from a personalization aspect for users?
So earlier this year, we announced what we call personal intelligence, which enables which enables users to choose to opt in and connect your Gmail, now your calendar, your photos directly to search. That also works with the Gemini app as well. You can do that as well, and it makes the responses much more useful. I'll give you maybe a slightly funny example, maybe an embarrassing example. I was standing in front of a wall of snacks yesterday at one of our IO rehearsals, and I said, which of these snacks would my wife approve of? I think I actually said her name. Which of these snacks would Maria approve of? And it sort of understands from our conversations, et cetera, what her tastes are, where she might suggest some nuts and things like this, versus the more delicious popcorn or potato chips or whatever. But it's those types of things where that's kind of a combination of the magic coming together of camera input, the reasoning power that we talked about before, as well as personal intelligence. When I ask questions about AI mode knows that I have 2 cats, right? And it knows all kinds of details that actually where it's most powerful is bringing in context that I might not have even thought was relevant. I had an example I was skiing with one of my kids earlier this year, and I asked a question about some ski goggles, and it pulled into that response a receipt that was in Gmail for those ski goggles that I actually didn't even know that I had because those ski goggles, the goggles had been given to me as a gift, and so I guess they forwarded me the receipt as well. And so it brings in these there are these sort of magical moments where it stitches together information that I might have even forgotten about, and makes the results much more useful.
I'll probably give one personal example which really saved a lot of my time. I manage like 5 different Gmail accounts, yeah, for different purposes, like different endeavors that I'm doing.
A lot of people do.
And you know what's the hardest thing to figure out? I'm sure there's times which you're like, which email did I even use to send out this email? What did this person exactly ask for? And I just used the search mode within Gmail and I just gave it a very, very vague prompt. I was like, somebody was mentioning about this in association with this. Could you find who that person is? And it did a wonderful job. And what I'm more impressed with is not just the quality of the response, but the latency. It was super fast.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So speed is for sure critical. It's one of the biggest areas that we invest in. One of the insights we've had on search for years and years is we've actually seen this. If you slow search down even 10 milliseconds, we see fewer search queries. And on the other side of that is if you speed it up, you see more search queries. People are acting in milliseconds. People's brains process in milliseconds, right? And so so speed really really matters. It's one of the big, um, we talk about our full stack approach as a company, in terms of how we're approaching AI, all the way from sort of raw, TPUs and raw silicon to our data centers to the models. But one of the huge advantages we have of that integrated stack is that we're able to deliver intelligence at the speed of search, right? And so we don't need to slow down search. We don't have to slow down search results to bring incredible intelligence and incredible reasoning power to people, because of this broad investment across the stack.
That's absolutely incredible. Nick, you've been at Google for almost 23 years, if I'm not wrong.
I'm over that. I think it's
Oh, that
yeah, coming up maybe 23, 24 years at
23,
this point. Yeah,
24 years. I'm sure search 23 years ago looked very different
yeah.
than what it is today. I'm sure tech part of it, the use case, how it connects with the users, what the user persona looks like, it's changed vastly over these years. But I want to get your perspective on what has really been the same. What was that lining that still stays the same for all of these years?
I think the biggest thing that stays the same actually is our mission. Our mission is to organize all the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. And what's interesting is it's a timeless mission because you're never done with that mission, right? And it's the amount of information in the world is incredibly vast. You're talking about personal information. There's information in videos and images, and it's so incredibly vast. Um, and to actually make it useful for people to reason across that, to present it the right way, whether that's presenting back in a co- you know a visualization that's been coded by anti-gravity or something else, whatever it might be. It's just so clear that we are just scratching the surface of what's possible with that mission. And so that really is what guides us throughout. Is um, we can take this amazing technology, these amazing the invention of amazing technology, and turn it into incredibly helpful products for people, and deploy this at the scale of billions of users across the world to bring really the most powerful thing, which is information, to everyone. And so that's what guides us. It's humbling, in a lot of ways for all of us that work on it. We realize that it's never done, and it propels us forward.
I see that you have that as a North Star and you're like keeping on working towards that, using whatever toolkits and like whatever new inventions and state of the art toolkits and frameworks are coming in. What would you say, like, if we were to sit here 3 years from now and I were to ask you that, what does the search look like today?
Yeah.
What do you envision that would be?
Yeah. I think the highest level is it should be a search in which you can ask anything. That's our North Star. That will be across. It'll be very very multimodal. It'll be across formats. It'll be across text. It'll be across video. It'll be across images. Across voice. It will be very personal for people that want it to be. It will pull in all the right sources across, and it will be heavily agentic. It will help you actually progress the task that you're trying to get done, whether that's a booking, whether that's composing an email, whatever it might be. Whether it's planning your life, it will help you across that. So I think it will be multimodal, it will be personalized, and it will be agentic.
Absolutely love it. And like in all of this, what I have seen is somebody who was an immigrant here, came from India. Throughout my life, I feel the way internet has shaped and like the way Google has played such a pivotal role in that is democratizing information, access to information, which is really what has taken the world from where it used to be several decades ago to what it is now, and reducing the barrier of like who can really be knowledgeable versus who can't be. There's no like gatekeeping of information, like it's available to everyone, and especially like tools like anti-gravity integrated with search, it just makes it very accessible to people who might learn differently than anybody else, right? I'm super excited about Google's mission here. Like as an ex-googler, I also feel it's such a great place to be in. I'm super excited for what you and your team are doing, and the things that you mentioned, which is optimizing things from the bottommost layer, like congratulations on your TPU launch, the V8 one, to all the amazing applications that you're building on top of it. I'm super grateful that you could join me here and I could be here to watch all these amazing announcements here at IO.
Well, thank you for coming and thank you for having me on the show, and I
Thanks.
appreciate it. Yeah,
Thanks so much.
so much.
It's lovely meeting you.
You as well. Thank you.